everyone, it's Lana from Lana Under Pressure, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make Cuban pastries or pastelitos. And let me tell you, if you've never had one, you are in for a treat, because it is one of my childhood memories of my parents coming home with a box from the Cuban bakery of these pastries, and it's one of the things that I've missed most since we moved away from Miami. And over the years, I've tried recreating it, baking them in the oven with different kinds of doughs, and it never comes out right. But this time, I think I've hit on the recipe that I'm telling you, it is as authentic as you could possibly get without having to live in Miami. So, let's get started. So, first we're going to start with the ingredients that you're going to need. And of course, the most important thing for the pastry is the dough. And I've tried over the years different doughs. I've tried puff pastries from Pepperidge Farm. I've tried phyllo dough. But this brand is Geffen. And it's Geffen puff pastry, already cut in squares. And I found this in the kosher section of the kosher frozen food section of Stop and Shop. But I've also seen it at Walmart. And for whatever reason, this puff pastry comes out the best, the most authentic, and it's really easy. Like I said, it's already cut in squares, the perfect size, so this one works the best, and this is the one that I recommend. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make 3 different fillings, and for that you're just going to need the Goya, and I've talked about this one before, the Goya Guava paste, and what you want is the paste, not the jelly or the preserves. And just plain old Philadelphia cream cheese or whatever cream cheese you like. I like to try to leave it out at room temperature to make it easier to handle, but it's up to you. So let's get started. So to prepare the dough, the first thing you're going to do is, because this comes in the frozen section, you want to keep it in your freezer until you're ready to use it. And what you can do to thaw it is you can either just leave it out on your counter for a few minutes, or what I like to do is put it in the day before in my refrigerator, and that way, you know, it's cold, it's ready to use, but it's not frozen. And it comes like this in a tray, and each of the squares is covered in a plastic wrap, so it makes it really easy to use, and it also keeps them from drying out, so you don't have to use your own wet paper towel. And you're going to take one square, and if you see this square, this size is the perfect size for the pastelitos, each of the folds that we're going to be making for the 3 different pastelitos that we're making. And another thing is, usually when you're working with puff pastry or phyllo dough, you have to put flour down on your counter. Now, I don't like adding flour because in the air fryer, the flour won't crisp up and then it kind of stays on it. So what I like to do instead of putting flour down is I like using parchment paper. And a good trick you can do to keep your parchment paper flat on your counter, because sometimes it rolls up, is if you just crumple it up like that, and then flatten out, it'll stay flat. The first pastelito type I'm going to show you with the filling is just plain Guava, and this is the easiest one. And again, we're using the Goya Guava paste. Now you can use any brand you want, but you got to make sure it's the paste. And it's going to look like this when it comes out of the box, like a big dense brick of guava. And I have some here. So now, you're going to take your puff pastry and you're going to have it facing you like a diamond, like that. And you're going to cut and use about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of the guava paste. And just cut them in small squares, and you're going to put it in the top half of your diamond of pastry dough. So, I'll just use a little bit more. I really like it. Okay, so now you have it, and if you see, it's in the top half, and you're going to leave about 1 inch around the edges. And now we're ready to fold. The guava pastries traditionally are in a square shape, but I found this triangle shape works the best in the air fryer. So you're just going to take the bottom part of your puff pastry corner, and you're going to bring it up to meet the top. And then you're going to make the sides meet, so that you have a triangle, and then you're just going to use your finger to go ahead and press it closed, all along the edge. Now you don't have to use water or an egg wash in order to close it. It stays closed just fine. And there you go. You have your first pastelito, just like that. The second one I'm going to show you how to make is the guava and queso, or the guava paste and the cream cheese filling. And for that, we're going to use the same exact folding method. So you're going to put your puff pastry in front of you like a diamond. And this is how you would feel like a turnover, really, that's what it's like. And for this one, you're going to put about a tablespoon of the guava paste. And I like to mush it a little bit just so that it's not as thick. And you're going to put that right at the top. And then we're going to use the same amount of cream cheese. And we're going to put that right next to it. Like that. And then, so it looks like this. And then we're going to take, again, the bottom corner and fold it up to meet the top. Bring the edges together and use our finger to press them closed. And there you go. For the third type of pastelito, we're going to use, this one is just plain cream cheese, and this one is actually my favorite. I love it. Now traditionally, every pastry, depending on the filling, every filling pastry has a different fold. And for this one, we're going to start it out in the diamond shape, but we're going to fold it a little differently. So I'm going to take about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons of the cream cheese, and this one I'm going to put right down the line of the middle. Just like that. I'm going to put a little bit more. Just like that. So it's going to look like that, right down the line of the middle. And then, instead of bringing the bottom up to the top, we're going to fold the sides in by putting one side over and then another one. Kind of like a cannoli. And I'm just going to press the edges just a little bit to close them just a little bit. And it's going to look just like that. And the ends are open, and that's quite all right. And this is how you would traditionally fold a cheese pastelito. Now that all my pastelitos are folded, I've put them on the tray that comes with the Vortex Plus, the slotted baking tray. And you can fit 3, you could probably, I fit 4 before. You can do 2 trays at the same time. I prefer, though, I find that it gets crispier if you only do 1 tray. And since it doesn't take very long under the air fry, you know, you can just go ahead and do 1 tray at a time. However, before we actually place them in the oven, we want to add an egg wash and some sugar. So here I have 1 egg beaten. I didn't add any water or milk in it, it's just the egg. And you're not going to put too much, but you're just going to brush each one with the egg wash. Perfect. And then you're going to take, you're going to sprinkle some sugar right on top. And it's about 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon. But you can just eyeball it, it doesn't need to be perfect. And just sprinkle that right on top. And this will help it get brown and caramelize and add an extra bit of sweetness. Great, now they're ready for the oven. Now we're going to go ahead and preheat the Vortex. And we're going to preheat it to air fry mode at 335 degrees for 10 to 13 minutes. So I like to do it for 13 minutes, but you're going to have to check them about 10 minutes. Usually I like to do the preheating step before I do the egg wash. That way I'm doing the egg wash while it's preheating. But in this case, since I did that first, I went ahead and I put them in the fridge, because anytime you are not using the dough or it's resting, you want to have it as cold as possible. So I just put them in the fridge. So let's go ahead and preheat the Vortex. We're going to press air fry, and then we're going to bring the temperature up or down. And mine's already at 335. And we're going to make the time at 13 minutes. And then we're going to press the start button, and we're going to let it start, and we're going to wait until it displays add food to go ahead and add our pastelitos. Now the Vortex is done preheating and it displayed add food, so I'm just going to go ahead and place the tray into the middle position. Just like that. And I'm going to close the door, and it's going to start all by itself and count down. Now in the middle of the cooking time, it may say flip food, or rotate food, but you're not going to go ahead and do that. You're just going to leave it as it is and let it go ahead and cook. Now, at about 11 minutes, these were done. And of course, like I said, it's going to take anywhere from 10 to 13 minutes. You want to make sure they get really brown, but it also depends on how cold the dough is, how cold the filling was, so anywhere between 10 and 13 minutes. And these were done at about 11. And as you see, they're nice and golden brown. And now the hardest thing is you're going to have to let them cool for about 5 to 10 minutes. You do want to eat them warm, but you want to allow them to cool down just a little bit. And as hard as that is, you know, just take a breath, walk away, and then you can come back and get them in about 5 minutes. It's been about 5 minutes and they're cooled down just enough so they're ready to eat and serve. And as you can see, I mean, the sugar on the top has gotten it really caramelized and brown, and it's really puffed up really well. And I wanted to go ahead and cut into one just so that you can hear how crunchy it is. I mean, it's perfect. And you can see all of the layers. Doing it on the air fryer really works really great to make it really puffy and puff up all those layers. And now these are traditional, the guava, the guayaba and queso, also meat, coco, coconut. Those are all Cuban traditional fillings, but really with this dough and this method, you can really let your imagination go wild. You can, you know, turn them into apple turnovers, use apple pie filling. I've even seen them with ham and cheese, really whatever you'd like to do. But I hope you'd enjoy these as much as I do, and I'm going to try and not to eat the rest of them myself. But, you know, I made them, so I guess I can. That's really good.